You walk into a modern bathroom, pull a square of plush white paper, and flush the evidence away. You think this little ritual separates you from the animals. You think civilization means never having to confront your own mess. We treat toilet paper like the ultimate finish line of human progress, but it is a massive, fragile illusion. For 99% of human history, taking care of business was not a private, sanitized experience. It was an act of raw survival. It was unfiltered human ingenuity staring biology right in the face. 2,000 years ago, you could be a citizen of Rome, the greatest empire on Earth. You conquered the known world, but you still had to sit in a public latrine, knee to knee with strangers, no stalls, no privacy. When you finished, you didn't reach for paper, you reached for a xylospongium, a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. You rinsed it in a trench of running salt water, used it, and handed it to the guy sitting next to you. You shared it. The pinnacle of ancient engineering was not just the Colosseum, it was communal hygiene. And if you weren't Roman, you had to get creative. Ancient Greeks used pessoi, smooth ceramic shards, to scrape themselves clean. Archaeologists have actually found these stones inscribed with the names of exiled enemies. The Greeks literally wiped their dirt on the people they hated. That is a level of petty that modern society has completely lost. Across the world, humans just used whatever their environment offered. Necessity does not care about comfort. If you were a Viking, you grabbed handfuls of moss or snow. If you were a sailor, you used a frayed piece of old anchor rope that dragged in the salt water behind the ship. People in the early Americas brilliantly utilized dried corncobs. They were surprisingly soft, highly absorbent, and a masterclass in making sure absolutely nothing from a harvest went to waste. None of this was glamorous, but it worked. The system of survival demanded adaptation. The only ones living in the future were the Chinese. By the 6th century, wealthy elites were using manufactured sheets of paper. Hundreds of years later, they were mass-producing millions of perfumed sheets for the imperial family. While European kings were still using rags and leaves, China had already figured out the system we use today. But for the rest of the modern world, it took until the late 1800s for toilet paper to actually become a commercial product. And even then, it was sold behind the counter like a shameful medical device, because admitting that you needed it was considered deeply offensive to Victorian sensibilities. We built global supply chains, clear-cut forests, bleached the pulp, and wrapped it in plastic. We did all of that just to pretend we are not exactly the same creatures we were 10,000 years ago. You solved the physical problem. The wiping is soft now, but you just traded one system for another. You can buy all the 3-ply you want, but you cannot out-engineer your own nature. You are still just an ancient human, sitting in a quiet room, managing the exact same mess.